is a very sad moment for me as I have to go back to the UK, and that means I'm not going to spend every single second with my Vicky. It means we're going to be apart for like the first time probably ever in our relationship in like 4 years. That, I mean, when we first got together, we would maybe spend like 4 or 5 days away from each other, but then I slowly then almost moved myself in and then ended up spending every day with Vicky, and then ended up spending every minute of the day with Vicky. It's now going to, well, I'm coming back obviously next week, but we haven't done a week apart in...
I know, and now we're going to be doing a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
I know. It is what it is. I'm really upset though, I'm fucking upset. Like a woman on the crime thing that we watched just saying, no, I'm not moving.
No, not moving.
No, not moving.
We're taking you to custody. Nope, not moving.
Don't be fooled, I don't have a sunburn. I actually don't know what's happened to my face. I literally look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Anyway, I have got a very exciting call at the moment. I have been waiting for this call for God knows how long. You know how girls usually get really excited to like plan their wedding dresses and plan their like night out outfits? Well, this is my day, bitch, because I am going to call my bikini vendor and decide my bikini color. I'm planning how I'm gonna look on stage. And any bikini wellness figure girl, any big bodybuilding girl out there will know how much of a big decision this is, especially when you've not chosen a stage suit before. I've actually already had one of these consult calls when I was prepping in 2022, but obviously it didn't. Hello. Yes, how are you doing? I'll be doing PCA and also NPC.
And I know we spoke about like tealy sort of colours, and is that still where you're going with? Is that still, or you changed your mind?
Changed my mind. I think I'm gonna go for an emerald green.
Lovely.
I love a teal colour, but I also think that like I've got a baby face anyway, so I want like a darker colour because I just think that screams like wellness, sexy. And I was thinking red.
I think emerald will pop a lot more. It's a bigger contrast of colour.
Yeah.
So I think that will work really nicely. Yeah, that's so pretty. Yeah, that definitely again looks more like this face. So the other one that we have, which is similar.
That was one of the most exciting calls ever. For someone that's never had a bikini designed for them before, I was literally so stressed for this call, I'm not gonna lie, because I've been umming and ahhing about my bikini color for so long. I was gonna go teal, and then I was gonna go red, and then I was gonna go purple, and then I was gonna go emerald green, then I was even fucking thinking pink. We decided on the color. Should I share it? Fuck it, I'm gonna share it. I'm not gonna share it on Instagram, I'll share it on my YouTube because you guys are the OGs. So we decided to go for an emerald green. And the reason why I wanted emerald green is because I've got quite like a baby face anyway. Obviously wellness is quite like sexy, it's feminine, it's strong, it's all of those things. So I feel like when I think about wellness, I always think about a darker color. Also, I have dark hair, so darker colors just suit dark hair a little bit better, in my opinion. Don't come at me if you've had a light color. I'm sure you look absolutely beautiful. The actual fabric of it, I chose the darker version of the green that she had. The stones that we're going for mainly are going to be dark emerald green stones with a few lighter green stones. I'm really bad at describing this, but we've chosen like a few lighter green stones, and then she chose like A, B, which those are the stones that basically when the lights shine, they provide that sparkle, and I wanted a little bit of that, but I don't want it to be overpowering because if you have too many of those, the bikini color looks lighter, and I just don't want that. So we decided to go for that. Connectors, I'm keeping very simple because I like that look. I like the simplistic but sexy, sophisticated look. So bikini is chosen. What the fuck? I feel like this is all becoming so real, and it's so scary. I know obviously I'm in prep. I know I've been like living the prep life for a good 15, 16 weeks, however long I've been in this for, but I don't feel like any of this feels like it's actually happening. Whereas consults like this and, you know, getting my jewelry and booking my show, which by the way, I've booked my show. I booked my first show. Booked my first show, so in case you didn't hear me fucking 10 times, I just said it. Yeah, it's just all becoming very real, but I'm very like ready and I'm very excited for it. So yeah, better do the do. I had every intention of filming yesterday, and the day just got away with me. I don't know where the time is going. I honestly checked my phone the other day and it was the 1st of March. I'm sorry, what? Yesterday, obviously, George left to go to the UK. I'm not really sure how long he's going for or when he's coming back, which is quite sad. It's so weird because we literally spend so much time together. Obviously, we do our own separate things, but we kind of do them together. We're alone together. That's the best way I could describe it. But we just like combine really well and have a really good set routine. So it's weird not having him here because I've woken up today and I just feel like a little bit lost in my routine. Usually what would happen is we would sit down and have a little coffee in the morning together, just catch up, how we feeling, how's the day going, and then I would make this meal, he would take the dogs out, and now I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to take the dogs out and make the meal and meal prep everything. So I'm a little bit out of routine, but I know we are gonna be just absolutely fine. Woke up today with a new low of 54.3 kilos. I'm coming in very quickly at the moment. I'm feel, that's all I'm gonna say. I do feel very small and depleted and very flat at the moment, which is exactly how I should be feeling at this point in prep. We're doing the hard work now just so I can back off later a little bit closer to shows, and it seems to be working. That saying, we did actually pull cardio out this week because we had a day where I was meant to be doing it post upper, but George was like, you know what, do it in the morning tomorrow and I want to see how your legs look like, not as inflamed, because I'm literally training legs and doing cardio, then training legs and doing cardio. My legs just constantly hold quite a lot of water. I woke up the next day, I dropped by like half a kilo, and we were like, okay, let's just see how the next couple of days go without cardio. And I've done a week now with no cardio and I'm a kilo down, and I'm continuing to drop down. So we're gonna leave cardio out temporarily. I am assuming it's gonna be in probably at the back end of the week, but we can use that to just drive a further deficit. So things are going good. Things are going good in this prep, and I don't want to jinx it, but I feel all right. Yesterday was a day where it was actually pretty hard in terms of energy, but I also feel like I was just emotionally drained with everything. We woke up super early to make sure that all check-ins were sent over. Yeah, I just feel like I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, it's this point in prep now where I'm like, I've got something to say to the camera, I'm gonna say it, and then I go off on a tangent and I just don't know anymore. Anyway, we're making meal one. Same meal as always, 100 mils of egg whites, 1 egg, mushrooms and spinach, and then we're cracking on with some work. It is 7:59 and I've just done around 5,500 steps whilst taking the dogs out for a little walkie. I was proper in my thoughts when I was out because I have no one to speak to, lol cry. What I was thinking about is like content creation, of course, like planning what I'm going to put out there on social media. And then I started thinking about like all the content that everyone else is creating and how there's like so many opposing views within bodybuilding. Like, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this workout, you should train this way, you should train for high reps, you should train high intensity. And I completely understand why to people that are very new in the sport, like this is also overwhelming, this is also confusing. And I can also understand why there's so many people within the sport that fall out of love with it because they get caught up in this thing of what they should be doing based off what someone's told them rather than what they actually enjoy. And I actually really wanted to address this because when I started bodybuilding in 2020, 2021, I was surrounded by a certain group of people that had particular ethics when it comes to bodybuilding, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but it was very like serious mindset and you need to do this way and get your head in the game and all of like, you know what type of bodybuilding I'm on about. And I think it's great. I think for those people it absolutely serves them and they can get in the set, they can make the most amount of progress. But I've realized for me, like that mindset actually doesn't quite work. Like I'm not the I'm going to war kind of person. I'm the type of person that's like looking at bodybuilding, looking at competing, prepping off season and treating it as something that I just love and enjoy. And I actually treat it lightheartedly, but that's not to say I don't treat it with intent. When I was surrounding myself with this group of individuals who, by the way, I absolutely love and adore, this is not me slating them, I found myself feeling a little bit like suffocated in terms of bodybuilding because I thought I was meant to do a particular way, and if I didn't do that, there was something wrong with me. At the time, I was also a medical student, so I was, doing placement, I was doing shift work, I wasn't able to go to the gym at 12 till 2 2 p.m. every single day where it's the optimal time to train, because you'll be able to get 3 meals in and optimal glycogen uptake and whatnot. Like, it was very much like you do what you can with the time that you're given, you eat when you can. Sometimes it's not optimal, sometimes you'll sleep 3 hours, sometimes you'll sleep 10 hours. And I did find myself constantly questioning myself whether or not I'm going to be able to make progress, because I had this confined version of what I am meant to do in order to succeed. Since taking a step back and just doing things my way, thinking, what do I like? What do I enjoy? How do I enjoy training? What type of food do I like? When do I like to eat that food? And of course, working within a level of discomfort still, because it's not about just being comfortable and being happy all the time. Like, that's not what life is about. That's not what bodybuilding is about. It's meant to make you grow. But since I found what works well for me, I have been able to not only just sustain it for a really long period of time, but also make the most progress I ever have. And 2, also come out at the end of it just feeling happy and content with myself. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you are feeling lost within bodybuilding at the moment, really address whether you're working in line with your values and your wants and your needs in life and your personality. Like, you do not have to fit into a particular box of bodybuilding to make progress, because there's plenty of different boxes. There's people that are going to do high intensity, there's going to be people that are going to do high volume, there's going to be people that are going to take the gym seriously, and there's going to be some people that like to have a chat between sets. Just find what works well for you and stick with that, because if you stick with that for a long enough time, then you're going to end up in the sport for so much longer rather than falling out of love with it. I hope that made sense. Anyway, I'm going to have my second coffee of the day. Do not judge. Roasted hazelnut Nespresso slaps. Sugar-free, white chocolate, syrup from protein. My protein. Chef's kiss. Yeah, I've got some work to do. We've got 2 setups, 2 girlies joining the team. By the way, the team has been growing so much, which is so amazing to see, which is also why I've been quiet on their YouTube, because my girls are my priority. We're going to do that, and then we'll see when I pick up the camera next. We have woken up today with another new low of 60, no, not 60, I always say that, 53.95, and I've messaged George, my scout weigh, and he has actually put me on a little refeed. So what you see here right now are the exact same calories and macros of what I followed in my previous refeed, just because we knew that that sort of filled me up pretty well. It'd be interesting to see how my body... That's my cream of rice. It'll be interesting to see how my body responds now that I am literally 2 kilos lighter from the previous refeed. The 2 kilos lighter? Yeah, 2, I don't even know. 2 kilos, 1.5 kilos lighter. I am just having to rearrange my foods because I actually did meal prep already for today. But if coach says do something, now we do something now. So I'm just going to meal prep everything and also show some of my meals. I'm actually excited. I'm actually not even that excited from like a food perspective, because I'm actually not that hungry, surprisingly. I'm not that hungry. I feel quite satiated with my meals, but my energy has been so low the last week. I hate to admit it. I'm one of those people, I'm just like, no, I will not be fazed by prep. But yeah, energy was really, really low this week. In my training sessions, I'll probably get like halfway in and I'm like, I am dying here. So it'll be interesting to see how my body responds in terms of like fullness, and also how it responds in terms of the scale weight, and also how it responds in terms of training. And anyone that knows me knows how much I love training. So if I can have like the little bit of an edge, a little bit more energy, a little bit more carbohydrates under my belt, and see maybe somewhat of a progression in today's session, it makes me really excited. Meals are all prepped and ready. We have got 2 chicken and rice meals and 2 cream of rice and oats meals, because this is pretty much what I have on my plan anyway. Usually what I would do is I would have a chicken salad, so I don't actually have rice in my meal plan at the moment, but I know rice sits well with me because obviously I have cream of rice, I've got rice cake, so we've stuck to the same nutritional sources. I've got 65 grams of rice here, 70 grams of rice post-workout. This is 70 grams total of cream of rice mixed with oats, and 60 grams of cream of rice mixed with oats. My personal preference when I run higher days is I just keep things the same. So I run more of the same foods that I already have. Obviously, when I'm having something like a chicken salad, I'm going to need to put rice in, because otherwise I will be eating like 10, 15 rice cakes, which I don't really want because I want to keep my food volume as low as I possibly can during these refeed days, just to not overload my digestion, to not make me bloated, and to make sure as well that I'm not fabricating like a high weigh-in. Obviously, when you were thinking about weighing in every single day, you're taking into account the salt, you're taking into account the water, how much food volume you've had, how much bowel content you've retained, because if you're not going to the toilet and you're not shitting, you're going to be keeping that food in. So what I'm trying to mimic with this current refeed is keeping food volume exactly the same as what I would usually have, or at least as close to as what I would usually have, so that when I weigh in tomorrow, I can assess, is it actual fullness that I've restored in terms of my muscle glycogen, or do I need more food? Do I need another higher day? That is all prepped and ready. One thing that I will always say is prep your meals ahead of the day. Even if you do it the day before, a couple of days before, just have your food ready for yourself, especially when you are dieting, because when you are hungry, the last thing that you want to do is stand there and cook. What I do is I work from home, so I've got every opportunity to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to cook my meals fresh. But when things are busy, when the day runs over, when things get skewed, what I don't want to do is create any room for error. Like, I literally just want to be able to take things out the fridge and eat them. Is eating cold meals boring? To some, yes. To me, I just genuinely don't mind. And if it really bothers you that much, you can literally just throw it in the microwave and heat it up. Like, it is as simple as that. I'm going to eat my first meal, which is going to be one of the chicken and rice meals. I do have my egg meal as well, but George has put half a bagel in, so I need to defrost that. So that's why I'm going to be having one of these bad boys in the morning. Imagine at 7 o'clock in the morning having chicken and rice. Tell me you're a bodybuilder without telling me you're a bodybuilder. You're back in the kitchen. Shock horror. Life of a bodybuilder. As I'm preparing my next meal, which is 1 egg, 100 mils of egg whites, and half a bagel, I actually wanted to talk about refeeds because I appreciate it looks like I'm on a bloody refeed all the time at this point. My last video was a refeed. Today is a refeed. I can confirm that this is just a coincidence. I have, in fact, I've only had 2 refeeds my entire prep, and 2 of them have just fallen in one. I've been recording videos because it's also fun, and I've also got more energy, and I've got more of a As we are on the topic of refeeds, I actually wanted to give a little bit more education surrounding refeeds, who should do them, why you should do them, when not to do them. First of all, what are refeeds? Refeeds are structured days where you run high carbohydrates in a dieting setting or a prep setting, basically the same thing. Why should you run them? Point number 1, glycogen replenishment. Our body utilizes things in order of sugars, fats, and then protein. So carbohydrate storage, fat storage, and then muscle storage. That is typically like the step-by-step of where it utilizes energy from. Why? Because carbs are the quickest release of energy. Fats are a little bit slower, but they actually provide more energy per fat molecule. So when you're in a deficit phase, your muscles get depleted of glycogen, and therefore you tend to look flat, and you tend to have a little bit lesser quick release energy under your belt. When you have sustained a diet for a certain period of time, that can catch up with you in terms of training performance. So having these strategic days where you run high carbohydrates basically provide you with that glycogen replenishment, which is just the sugar stores in your muscles, and gives you that extra bit of oomph so you can actually start progressing within training. So one reason why you may want to incorporate this is if consistently training is dropping and you're measuring all of the other variables, for example, sleep, recovery, hydration, mindset surrounding training, the lot. So ultimately, when you replenish this glycogen storage, it can help you with your training output. It can help you be a little bit stronger. It is very much temporary, but it's a tool that can be utilized. The second thing that we've already mentioned is surrounding recovery. The deeper you get into a diet, the more recovery tends to drop. Why can't I do this? Your sleep quality can deteriorate, your training fatigue is going to be higher, your muscle soreness lasts longer, central nervous system tends to get more taxed. A temporary increase in carbohydrates can help you with this. For some people, a third reason as to why they may include a refeed is for psychological adherence. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this point, but I wanted to mention it because I know it can be a tool that some coaches utilize. When you are dieting, of course, food focus goes up, hunger goes up. That can often lead to people not adhering. So a strategic way to help people adhere more long term is just to have these diet breaks. I personally don't like this approach myself because I actually find that when I run higher days, I tend to get more hungry after. So maybe temporarily whilst I'm running these high days, I feel fine. Long term wise, over the next couple of days, I know my belly's just going to be going off because my metabolism would have just sped up. My digestion is going to be a little bit quicker. So I I actually find that when I have refeeds, I struggle a little bit more. Also, the second point with this is like a diet is meant to be challenging, and a diet is going to be hard. When you're in a deficit, you are going to feel hungry, and every single time you listen to those hunger signals and say, oh well, I'm hungry right now, I need a refeed, then you're going to be constantly taking yourself out of the deficit. So this psychological adherence reason I would take with a pinch of salt. I would only really recommend this for people that have genuinely over dieted. The food focus is so high where the risk is higher than the reward of them sticking through with the diet without that refeed, if that makes sense. The next point is because you are ahead of the timeline, which is exactly where I'm at the moment, and this is why we are incorporating a refeed for myself. I started my prep at 28 weeks out because I am a first timer and I did not know how much weight I need to lose in order to be stage elite. Now that I'm looking at myself, you know, I've got delta striations, there's vascularity going through my chest. I know that I'm probably ahead of 10 weeks and 3 days out like I am currently. This allows me to just slow down the rate of loss and will allow me to basically sustain this condition long term, because it was all well and good getting into condition at like 8 weeks out, but then you need to remember you need to sustain that, and the body's going to get really tired really quickly, especially when you're such a low body fat percentage, and it's not going to be good for your hormones either long term. So we're basically pulling back to say, wait, hold up, let's just get you back on track in terms of the rate of loss, and that way I know I'm going to be healthier, sustain a better look throughout the time where I'm actually meant to be peaking, which is around shows, and also not fuck myself over completely. Another reason why you might incorporate high days within a prep setting is because you may want to trial a peak week. So if you are in my state where you are ahead of the game, having refeeds is absolutely amazing because it allows you to see how your body responds during a loading of high carbohydrates, if I can get my words out. Every single body is going to be different in terms of how it responds to carbohydrates and how many carbohydrates you're going to need to load in order to get the desired look. Right now what we are doing is we took baseline photos of how I look pre-refeed. We're giving me a set base of carbohydrates, and every single morning I'm going to be monitoring how my body looks. When you are loading carbohydrates around these refeed days, you want to try and mimic the look of what you want to present on stage. So we're trying to assess how much food that do I need, after how many meals does my body look best, how do I look immediately post refeed, so like the day after running 2 high days, and how quick does it take for me to flatten off again, because there's different ways of peaking as well. Some people may front load, so they might benefit more from having carbohydrates Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then compete in Saturday or Sunday. Some people might actually have a high day and then flatten off very quickly, in which case you might need to backload them, and some people just benefit from a linear load. So all of this is quite a lot of information. I can cover it in a podcast if you want to. Drop me a comment if you want me to actually cover the peaking process in a podcast. But that is ultimately what we're trying to do right now as we are ahead of the game, is just trialing peaks as well of what works well for my body. And also, I guess the last point that I'll mention is surrounding leptin signaling. So leptin is a hormone that's actually released by your fat cells and tells your body and your brain that you are full, that you're satiated, that you're not hungry basically. When you diet down and the body fat levels drop, you have a reduced amount of this leptin hormone, which makes you hungry all the time. So having high carbohydrates can actually start to regulate this leptin and ghrelin signaling a little bit, but this is only going to be very much temporary. We've spoken about all the reasons as to why you should refeed. Let's talk about when you shouldn't refeed. Refeeds are not something that are guaranteed within a prep setting, especially if you aren't ready. The reason why I would never ever incorporate refeeds for an athlete or someone that is dieting is if their adherence isn't 100%. There is absolutely no need to refeed if you have gone off plan and you've consumed higher calories. Sorry if that offends anyone, it's true. Having a refeed just because, what's the point? Another point is when body fat is relatively high, you still have the storages that are needed, and most likely if you are feeling tired and body fat is high, you most likely need to dig a little bit deeper. And if you are at that early stage in prep and you're like, oh, but I depleted my glycogen storage and I'm running flat and I'm still holding body fat, I need to refeed. Probably you don't. You need to go through that shit phase where you don't look great, you are quite flat. Watch a couple of videos back when I posed with Hannah. I was super flat, I was still holding a really decent amount of body fat and I hated the way that I looked. That natural time I would have been like, let's refeed, but it just wasn't the time that my body actually needed it. And then the last point I guess I'll say is just like, if you're just not ready, if you're behind in terms of your schedule, incorporating a refeed is just going to pull you out of the deficit. That is my little ramble and educational spiel. Just as a summary, refeeds are good, but only where they are needed. They are needed in settings when people are ready beforehand, if you are trialing a peak, if energy and recovery is super, super low and there's no no other way to manage it other than a refeed. Digestion, actually I didn't mention that one, but sometimes when digestion tends to stall or it's not in a good spot, a refeed might be a strategic tool. And psychology, I guess, hit and miss, because that can work for some, might not work well for others, which is why it's just such an individual approach. I assume this is going to be my last refeed for another good couple of weeks. I think we're going to pull down another 2 kilos and then see how my body is looking from there. Of course, we're just going to play it by eye. It's all about look, it's about feel, it's not necessarily about the scale weight. So I'm going to munch on this. I've just realised I've not made my bagel. Oh! Made my bagel! I knew I did something wrong. I'm so used to having a protein fat meal that I just forget that there's carbohydrates in this one. I'm going to finish there because this is 15 minutes of me waffling. Lovely stuff.
It's hard to carry after dark. You're to blame for what we could have been, cause look at what we are. Your friends are scared to tell you you went too far. Funny that it's always been all about you from the start. I met someone new last night and we kicked it, and I'm going back there tonight. You know what's on my...
There is a slight change of plans. I've just checked in with George. I've taken my tracking shots. I woke up today with a new low off the back of 2 high days, which isn't obviously the point. The point is to regain a little bit of glycogen storage and get a little bit fuller. I don't feel full at all. And on top of that, obviously I'm lighter, which means that ultimately I've dropped quite a lot of water, potentially even dropped fat over the last 2 days from probably when my energy's been higher. I've just been moving around more. Obviously being in Spain by myself, like, it's really hard to keep my expenditure low. Putting my feet up is a little bit hard with these 2 energy driven munchkins. So we're running another high day. This high day is going to be slightly higher than what I had on the other training day. George initially put more food volume in, so he gave me a whole bagel instead of half a bagel, and I just don't think my stomach can take it. Like, I can't really eat past 1700 calories at the moment with how little my stomach is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to opt for more low volume sources, carbohydrates. So I'm going to add honey into my oats pre-workout and also pre-bed. And yeah, I think that's all the changes that has been made in addition to that. So I think it's just like an extra 150 calories on top of what I had on days it today on Thursday. I am feeling pretty crappy, if I'm being honest. I do feel more energetic, but I just feel quite depleted, and you can see it in my face when I wake up in the morning. My face is just so sunken in. Also, if there are any girls out there, I'm really struggling with this eye. It gets really, really puffy and it just stays there. I don't know whether a good idea is to get like filler under eye or whether I can put any sort of serum, any cream, but I'm starting to get pretty self-conscious of it, to be honest with you. I feel like the lean in my face is getting, the more noticeable it is. I actually spoke to my mum and she was like, do you sleep on your right side? And I was like, I do sleep on my right side. So she said it's maybe a little bit of like just puffiness and swelling, but it just stays for the whole day and I really don't like it. Obviously I can't cover it with makeup. I can cover it with my hand, but I'm not going to be walking around like Captain Jack Sparrow with a fucking pirate eye patch on. Hello guys, we're off to the gym. We're off to the gym in my little Fiat 500. This is our new little rental car. It's literally the cutest thing ever. I'm 3 meals deep into my high day and I feel so much better. When I trained on my first high day, I was literally driving to the gym and I felt so sick. I cannot comprehend how small my stomach must be now. Not gonna lie, I'm excited to go to like my baseline foods because I used to be a foodie, but now I'm just not. I prefer lesser food. I prefer dieting than off seasons. Don't know what's happened to me. Usually what I would do is I'd have a Monster on the way to the gym, but we've opted for a pump pre-workout because I also don't want a whole Monster of like 500 mils to be sat in my stomach. So yeah, we're just gonna have a pump pre-workout. We are gonna drive. It takes me around 20 minutes to get to Titan. I should probably take about 15, but I'm a cautious driver because I'm still driving on the opposite side of the road. What I wanted to talk about is actually something that I start thinking about on my walk, because I'm doing a webinar about my 2026 prep in comparison to my 2022 prep, like what's different. And I was like thinking of points of what I could say. Obviously what's different, I've got more muscle, like earn my stripes to be in bodybuilding, all of that stuff. But I was like, what is actually different? Because this prep, I'm just having such a good time in. Like, I'm having so much fun. Have I had hard days? Yeah, for sure. But like, when I think about it, my circumstances aren't really different. But what is my mindset. And I have just done a story on Instagram, actually. If you don't follow me, I'll link my app below. It's about how, like, I've gotten to this point in my life where I have this like unwavering belief that everything's going to work out. Everything's going to work out. No matter what situation I'm in, no matter how shit that situation is, I'm like, it's going to work out. Like it's just going to work out. I know that for some people that does sound like delusional, that sounds cocky. It doesn't mean that by any means, but when life throws shit at me, I'm just like, okay, well, this is part of the plot. So when I was in like 2022 and I had this feeling about me potentially not doing very well and embarrassing myself and people having a say about it, and you know, me, I don't know, not having enough muscle, like all of these negative thoughts surrounding competing, I noticed that I was always thinking about like the worst case scenario. I need to open the door because it's bloody boiling. Whereas now I'm like, well, even if I embarrass myself, even if I place dead last, even if I don't have enough muscle, that's fine because it's all part of the plot and I'm just going to come back better. And it's going to be like that pivotal part of my story where, oh my God, she failed and she really struggled and then she just comes back with like vengeance. Yeah, I just kind of think like, if it works out this year, amazing, fantastic, great. If it doesn't work out this year, that's fine because I'm going to make sure that I have an even better comeback and have an even better story to tell. And I feel like it's just my mindset is just so different. And I've gotten into this state where I just feel at peace and I feel calm. I feel so detached from outcomes and I'm just so present. And yeah, if you're a first timer, if you're a competitor just in general, or even if you don't compete and you're into fitness or you're a career, whatever it may be, I feel like sometimes when you detach yourself from the outcome of the goal and just attach yourself to the process in it and focusing on getting the most enjoyment out of that, even the struggles, it just becomes so much more enjoyable. So that's my little ramble. Anyway, let's drive because I'm burning up in the car. Can you see my red cheeks? Also, I've had so many compliments on my skin. I have a secret I've got to say. I use the e.l.f. Glow Foundation. That's what makes my skin look dewy. That's all. That's all I've got to say. Let's get to the gym.
One I beg you with the jabata. Me, I know get time, I did that. That cover my face, calling me that bata. Biggie man, we don't be where I bata. Tell me, what's it come? You are come, all the bend, the cash, ride the foot, and the feet, die for nothing. What's it come? You are come, all the bend. Anything when you do, they must commend it. I can't come and see myself. So anything when you do, they try to do my way. Plenty survive with this. Just to make your money. But my people then say I know one fight, I know one die, I know one women. I want enjoy, I want job life, I want buy motor, I want feel house, I still want the love. Tell me, what's it go? You are go, all the Bentley, the cash, ride the boat, I know feet, die for nothing. What's it go? You are go, all the Bentley, the cash, ride the boat, I know feet. Different things that happen in schemes and packaging. In a one night, for shows and juggling. Flow in the ocean, pour from paddling. Shout out, that's my bro, my family. Force and trace. When it comes to money, I they concentrate. Like I tell you straight, you are not my best. If you become a shit, I'll be here to stay. But my people then go say, I know one fight, I know one die, I know one women. I want enjoy, I want job life, I want buy motor, I want build house, I still want to know. What's it go? You are go. All the men, they got it. Ride the foot, I know feet, die for nothing. What's it go? You are go. All the men, they got it. Ride the foot, I know feet.
So the session is done. It was an okay session. I had high expectations for it, to be honest with you. I was like, more food, I'm gonna get PBs, and it wasn't quite like that. Quite sad. We got it done regardless. I pretty much maintained on everything, did a little bit of posing, and what I've realized is I don't actually like how I look when I'm loading carbohydrates, which is a key thing, because these high days, like I said before, they are almost like a trial peak of what I'm going to do for peak week. And I've just realized when I actually put carbohydrates in and I put water in and I put salt in, I don't like how I look on the day where those carbs are loaded. Yes, I'm full, but I also feel like I look a little bit watery, whereas the next day or the day after that, I tend to look so much better. I think the plan of action for peak week is going to be that I load carbs Wednesday and Thursday and back off on Friday, just kind of go into like a low maintenance, low food volume. And I feel like that's going to work for me. At least it's data collection, but yes, I think from tomorrow we are back to a baseline. We'll see, because I was meant to be back on baseline today and I'm not. So we'll just see what my body decides to do. I'm gonna leave that video there, and as always guys, I just want to say thank you so much to anyone that watches these videos and just messages me on Instagram saying that they follow the YouTube channel. It genuinely means the world to me. I just want to create this hub of people and like a community almost, that you just feel part of this journey, because that's what it's really about. You know, I'm on my loans at the moment in Spain, and I want to create a group of, you know, women and men, if men want to join our little community, that just get inspired, that strive for greatness, you know, that they're just good vibes. So thank you so much to everyone who just makes this prep so much more enjoyable and supports from afar. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.